Hello, Thrivers. Welcome to Rediscover Your Hidden Intuitive Gifts and Reconnect with Loved Ones Beyond the Veil. Today we have an amazing and wonderful guest. Would you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
I'm David Gibson. Pleasure to be here. And what I do is sound, music, and vibration. And it's really kind of the overview is we've got a college for 20 years, state approved college, the only state approved college that teaches sound healing in the whole country. And then we've got a research center. We're studying how sound works physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We also are working with kids and creating a new curriculum for kids, so a new medical system and a new educational system. And we also have a therapy center here where we do treatments. We also do treatments online. And then we also have a store as well. And then I'm also working on various movies and plays and stuff like that.
That is awesome. And it sounds like you are busy as hell.
I'm not bored. I'm not bored.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so I want to ask you, how does sound and vibration work as bridges to access our innate intuitive gifts?
Well, really, it's all about peace. I mean, generally, if you're jumping around and thoughts are bouncing off the walls and you've got anxiety in your emotional body or anything that's not peaceful, then it's really you're not going to be able to access very much. Uh, Even if we talk about intuitive abilities also as higher beings going, okay, here's a download, bing, right? Then they're not going to talk to you if you're bouncing off the walls, right? You've got to be at peace for the most part. Occasionally they'll come in, and if you're really stressed out, they'll pop in. But generally, they want you to be at peace because they need a stable, consistent radio station to contact, right? So it's really all about peace. I mean, there's other parts, and what we'll talk about. There's a lot we can do with peace, and we can get into that in detail, and that because that's really important. But the other part is just asking. I mean, they say Doreen Virtue, the angel lady, she says there are all these angels up top that are just bored to death wanting to do something, but they can't do anything until you ask. So they're like, come on, come on. And then you ask, like, can you help? And it's like, boom, right? I
Mhm.
used to think it was just, woo woo, but I would do it anyway just because it seemed cool. And then I was in the hospital with appendicitis, and this woman did a treatment on me over the phone and brought in this whole group of beings, and the whole room turned into white light for 3 hours. And the doctor says, oh my God, you got to go home. So I went home and I thought, wait, maybe I could do this. So I called in Baba G and then Christ Energy and and Gabriel, and the whole room turned into white light. And from then on, I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually feeling something here. So that's a large part is to call in the higher beings. But really, the main thing is when you realize that you've got a higher self that knows and a soul that is, well, I think of the soul as a frequency of you that's carried from lifetime to lifetime, which around it is like harmonics that are all the information you've learned from all your past lives. But it's also connected to all frequencies in the universe, which is source, and knows all. So the truth is, when you really, Alice Bailey talks about building the bridge to the Antakarana bridge to the soul. So your soul frequency, which is a frequency, controls your whole emotional and mental body instead of that roller coaster of emotional and mental bodies, which is where we mostly are. Right? And so then all this information comes in. So that again it's is leads us back to being still because you really need to be still. You can also not only ask, you can set intention. It's like as one presenter in my conference last year, he goes, say it and it's so. Say it and it's so. And so it's like I want my intuition from these higher beings and my higher self and my soul to come through now and forever, and just and 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 be. Now it's interesting when you are receiving this information. Most of the time, you're in a brainwave state of theta,
Mhm.
which is a rhythm between 3.5 and 7 cycles per second. It's like whoa, 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 whoa. Everybody's a little bit faster or slower though within theta, right? And so when we find your rhythm of your metabolism, when you're in theta or any brainwave state, we can actually tune music and sounds and rhythms to that theta to bring you into this state of oneness where intuition comes in. And that's really cool because that's where it normally comes in. It's almost like these higher beings up there aren't going to give you a download unless you're right at the right radio frequency of you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so getting you back to you is one thing. But really, the most basic is peace. And it's really about overcoming the chaos. And the chaos is like fear, anxiety, stress, anger, or even just pain. Right? As opposed to the vowels, which are stable, consistent vibration. Anybody can feel the difference. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What I've learned is peace is a frequency humming consistently. I mean, you can have silence and it's not even comfortable. But when you hear a vibration that's still, that's stable, it vibrates. It's like a tone. It's like toning, right? Which is like crystal bowls, Tibetan bowls, tuning forks, anything that does a drone, or even a stable, consistent rhythm will entrain you because a rhythm is just a stable vibration. It's just a lower frequency of hertz or cycles per second. So that's the basis of it all. There's also a couple of other things that will get you to a place of peace around this. Just those stable vibrations, but also a slow fade. And that's like a crystal bowl, but I can give you an example with rhythm.
Okay.
Ba 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 ba
Mm-hmm.
ba 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 ba. Way different than if I just done a deep breath at the beginning, right? That's like slowly doing not only tempo but volume and frequency as well to get to that still point. It's amazing how effective it is. I've been in rooms where you play a crystal ball and it fades out over 5 minutes, and 10,000 people don't move, right? So, and so many people can't stop. They can't be still. Another thing that's really good is to find where that buzz is in the body. Often, it could be tension in the shoulder or the neck or in the digestive area, but it's often an endocrine gland. The adrenals or the thymus or the thyroid, could even be the pituitary or pineal glands. Often I feel it in the thyroid. And what I've learned is I was a physics major at UC Berkeley. There's a law of physics that says a strong vibration will overcome a weaker and entrain the weaker into the stronger. If you have a little buzz in your body, you can tone to it and it will stop buzzing, especially if it's an endocrine gland. Digestive system is really good, sensitive as well. It works well there. but especially a pituitary to open the third eye or a pineal to really and stabilize it and open it up. That's really cool. And knowing, and not only can you do it with the voice, you can do it silently. You could even do it in a room of other people where you simply breathe in and on the out breath you send a silent sound to that place in your body that's buzzing like this. Focus on that part of the body. And it's so simple. No cost.
And I can actually feel that as you're saying it through the screen, as you're expressing it, I can feel like an energetic shift, like a change and a focusing on a specific part of my body. So it's really interesting that you demonstrated it because I could feel it. And you can even feel like the difference in tonal changes, like how they feel it in your body, not in your energy and in your spirit.
Right.
So I love this. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to ask you next, with your extensive work in sound healing, how do you feel certain frequencies and harmonies can open up pathways to higher realms?
Well, there's different realms, but the main realm we talk about is source, where you're one with the universe. Right? And there's actually studies where they can actually show with EEG maps when you're there now. And so there's one of our colleagues that was in my last conference, uh, Jeffrey Martin. He's now got ultrasound frequencies that he can play on microtubules in the brain that will bring you into unity consciousness in a lab every time. And it's so successful that he's now giving classes on how to incorporate oneness into your daily life. Because if you're one with the universe, I mean, why get out of bed? Why go, why go to work, right? If you're
Mm-hmm.
universal love everywhere, right? Because generally, when you're one with the universe, universal love shows up, right? So that's one way. But really, the way I think of source is, or especially, I mean, there's other levels of higher. I mean, you could say there's gratitude, compassion, love, universal love, joy. There's even the frequency of your soul when you find that, and we help people find that frequency as well. But then there's source is the ultimate. Source is the, and I think of source as all frequencies. So when your people are one with the universe and you do an EEG map on them, you find that they're in that state of theta. So we can actually find your rhythm of theta and help you bring you there. But there's other ways you can do it as well that help you get there. When you tune in to multiple things simultaneously, you actually go into theta. So a bunch of sparkles on the water,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or a view, wow, right? Or a bunch of sounds in a mix of music. I remember that's why I became a recording engineer in high school. I would put on headphones and get stoned and become the music, right? And then, or all of the frequencies within a crystal bowl, or especially all of the frequencies within a gong. There's so many that the left brain just goes, I can't handle it. And the right brain takes over, right? And that's a state of theta, which is the same state you are when you're when you're one with the universe. So tuning into multiple things at once. So it's just a little step to actually cross over into the oneness. Now, I've been asking people for 10 years, how many of you have been one with the universe? And less than a third say yes. And then I say, how many of you can access it at will? And less than a quarter say yes. And it's interesting. Most people don't know how to explain it. They say, I was just been there, right? Maybe it was the first time was an accident, or drugs. Drugs can do it, right? Or just sitting with someone that is one with the universe.
Mm-hmm.
That can do it as well. And sometimes it just happens spontaneously. It's like bing, right? Or sacred sites. Sometimes people go to sacred sites and things happen, right? So, but the question is, how do you tell someone to do it, how to do it when they've never experienced? And that's the tricky part. So again, the more you make peace in your life throughout the day where that becomes the norm, where you're at peace and stillness at least 10 times a day, then then portals will start to open up. That's whatever you're going to do, whether it's meditation, going out in nature, yoga, or sound's the best, sound's the most fun, right? Or music, even music is cool, right? Just get in that zone over and over, because that's really the main deal more than anything.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for explaining that a lot deeper. I love that because I think people don't, I'll say this, people underestimate how much the frequencies and the energy of frequencies can change and heal our lives. So that's why I had to have you on, is because I think it's incredibly important and incredibly transformational. It happened for me recently, kind of sorry to add myself in there, but I was listening to music and I noticed that the regular frequency of music was giving me a headache. And below that song, it had the same song, but in 432 hertz. So I switched over to that, and my headache immediately left. Uh,
Well, you want to hear my thing on 432?
yeah.
Okay. So now you're talking about, this is called concert pitch. It's the overall frequency you tune an entire song to.
Okay.
So it is cool. 432. I mean, there was a whole thing for 528 for a while, and then Leonard Horowitz admitted that 528 has nothing to do with love in any lab research or unraveling the DNA. So a lot of people reverted to 432, which is a little lower than 440, and it's what they tuned to in ancient Egypt. It creates a beautiful mandala pattern in each water droplet in your body. There's many auspicious things about it, and one of the most important, it's the time I was born. I was born at 4:32 a.m. It's
That's
on my birth
awesome.
certificate. Yeah. So, and it's cool to actually tune. And but when I've been testing people for 10 years in classes, and I play the 432 and the 440. 70% of the people choose 440.
Hmm.
We're addicted to it. All the music we listen to on radio and CD is 440. But here's the deal. I've There are 1,000 songs on YouTube tuned to 432 that I would never listen to.
Really?
They're just horrible music, right? Or not. I mean, I'm a little picky, right? I wrote the number one selling book in the field on audio recording, right? And there are many songs over my lifetime where I have seen God tuned to 440.
Hmm. Okay.
Right? So here's the deal: the music and the energy behind the music is light years more important than 440 or 432. I mean, if you've got a beautiful song with the right energy behind it and intention being held by the musician, and they're opening up a portal themselves while actually doing it, and there's music like that. I mean, it's like, who cares about 440 or 432? It's really not that big a deal. And the other thing is, unless you're in the key of A, which is
Mhm.
440, 432, you're not going to get that mandala pattern very often.
Okay.
So it's cool. It's cool. All my stuff, I've got 150 CDs. I got them tuned to 432. Okay, fine. Right. There's also another thing that people don't talk about, which is actually more important. It's called uh, uh, a tuning system.
Mhm.
And there's called just intonation and Pythagorean tuning versus equal tempered, where all the different frequencies are tuned to of the 12 notes are tuned differently, and that is actually even more important than 432. But the truth is, the energy and the music you create and the energy behind it is the whole deal.
Mm. Okay. I love it. That's interesting. And thank you for definitely putting that out there because I think that it does make sense. The song wasn't really the best song. It wasn't the best energy. So that's also probably why I had a headache. But as soon as the frequency changed, I was like, huh,
Yeah.
that's better.
Well, there's also something to consider here too.
Mhm.
Everybody's got a specific rhythm or note or frequency that their metabolism is at when they're at peace. And that is an actual, if you octavize it up, when you double a frequency, it's the same note, right? So you take that rhythm and you double it. Now we're talking about an actual frequency of you. Now maybe just maybe 432 is more in alignment with your body metabolism than 440, right? So there's another component there that people don't even think about. What we do is we actually play each of the 12 notes and rhythms and we find your metabolism. And then I give you CDs or downloads in delta for sleep, theta for creativity, alpha for learning, and beta for thinking and overcoming ADHD, and gamma for blissing out, tuned to you. And that's way better than the stuff on YouTube because it's you got a 1 in 12 chance on YouTube to find binaural beats that actually don't make you crazy, right? Right. In fact, some people it freaks them out if it's not tuned to them. I had a woman in class. She was I was doing the binaural beat class, and it's like whoa, 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 and she started bawling, and she said, "I can't stand this." And then we tuned into her and found her note and tuned the rhythm to her, and she goes, "Cool," and was fine the rest of the class. So some people are really sensitive to it. So tuning music to you is really incredible. It's the best for PTSD, for anxiety, for depression. We're doing it with the dementia, 130 dementia patients at a center where we have a contract. It's really effective. We also have done it for autism, and it's the best for traumatic brain injuries. Yeah.
Thank you. I love that. That is, you're doing amazing work and amazing research, and I think that that's absolutely awesome. Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Yeah. Your rhythm is, I mean, a little bit faster than mine.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're like around C sharp, I think.
That makes sense. Okay,
Mhm.
so I want to ask you, sorry, shaking. Can you explain the role of sound therapy in activating the body's own healing wisdom? And how does it access or help people access their intuition and trust in their inner voice?
Well, when you talk about that, I think of you can do it physically or you can do it emotionally.
You know?
Right? Physically, to it's again it's all about getting at peace, but peace is not only just a frequency humming consistently, it's also a smooth flow of music. So smooth flow without blockages is the definition of health and physically and mentally and emotionally and even spiritually. And when things are flowing, that's when the universe opens up to higher realms. So if you think of it this way, in a meridian, you could measure the acupuncture points. And once you got them measured, when energy flows through a meridian, it's playing a song. Ba da da, a melodic progression. Ba da da, at a very specific rhythm based on your metabolism, your heart rate and brainwave rate when you're at rest. Right? And so what we're looking at is actually finding the song of each of the 11 medical systems. So the song of the nervous system, if it's not flowing, you're going to be shaky. If you don't have smooth flow through your circulatory system, you could have a heart attack. If you don't have smooth flow through the digestive system, all types of problems happen. It's all about smooth flow, which is a musical flow. So we're going to use electron microscopes to actually measure the cells and find the notes and use EEG to measure the rhythm and tune the 11 songs to you, and then use needles with frequencies, ultrasound, and then microcurrent pads and infrared light and scalar waves and run that river of flow through each of the 11 systems. So you'll be not only healthy, you'll be blissed out, and then higher realms completely open up.
Wow, it makes
but
sense. It makes sense.
but
Sorry.
you could do that emotionally. I mean, emotions, there's always two ways to go with any way here. One is to focus on the what's wrong and try and break it up or transform it and into harmony and peace, right? Or you could just focus on what's right, just go into bliss, go, and focus on the flow and the bliss, right? So emotionally, you can actually focus on the actual stuck emotion and resonate it. And then there's many techniques we have, but one is to simply make the sound of it to express it, because many people are resisting it,
Mhm.
and then slowly transform it to a vowel like this. Now you're at peace because you're doing a vowel, right? We had the classes with the 3 to 6 year olds we did for 6 months, and I taught all the kids to do that. I said, just be authentic, just make the sound of where you're at first, and then slowly transform it. If it doesn't feel good, slowly transform it. And they totally got it down. And I said to them, teach your parents that because they don't know how to transform emotions. Right?
Mhm.
Now, you could just bypass it and just go to love.
Mhm.
I mean, some people call that bypassing, but if you got a difficult emotion, because until you get out of that chaotic vibration, the universe is not going to open up. So you could just go wee and do the sound of love. You could send it to the emotion, right? But some people say that's bypassing it. Well, the truth is, what's the best is go ahead and do the love if you can.
Okay.
Some people can't do it with love. And then once you're in that zone of stability and love and stuff, look back at the problem and look at it from that perspective. And then you got more capacity to work with it. And maybe at that point, it's like, what problem?
Yeah.
Right, right. But I mean, there's some people that just go to love and they don't look back.
Mhm.
And then it's just waiting to get them in the butt one day.
Mhm. I love that. Okay, so earlier you mentioned your research about dementia patients and sound therapy, ADHD, and autism. What results have you had in that research? I know I probably should have asked it after you had said that, but I think I wanted to ask you about it now just because I wanted to kind of get a little bit more clarity on it
Yeah.
because it sounds really amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, for dementia, we got a contract with the largest dementia company in the country, which is in Napa, California. They have 130 dementia patients, and we've been doing 10 different protocols for them for a year. And they've been tracking it in detail. The number one thing is it's getting them to a place of peace out of anxiety. I mean, when you got 130 dementia patients in a room together, 30% of them are really low functioning and they just might scream, right? That triggers everybody else. I mean, it's really easy for the place to go into complete anxiety, but that room. So getting now it's 50% more peaceful in that place. And
Wow.
that's dramatic, not only for the people that are the patients, but also for the workers, right? I mean, it's a stressful job, working with 130 dementia patients. But now they're getting lit up, and we're using the brainwave entrainment tuned to them. We found all 130 notes, and it's actually reversing the dementia because now their brain is back to its stable, consistent flow, right?
Wow.
So we've got, if you go to soundfordementia.com, we've got a site with testimonials and all the different techniques there. It's really effective. Also, we've got songs now. In fact, if you go to our site where our store is, which is soundoflove.com, you can we've actually got a CD in 40 hertz, which has been proven to reverse dementia in labs.
Wow.
And so you can download that song for free.
Okay.
So that's the dementia. As far as ADHD, number one thing is tuning music to you in beta.
Okay.
So we do the assessment I talked about before, where we find your note, we give you uh, uh, music with beta embedded in the background, which is a very fast rhythm, tuned to you. The problem with ADHD is there's about 8 different types of ADHD. The main type, by far, is
Mhm.
that your brain doesn't go fast enough to get into beta. which is a super fast rhythm. It's really fast. So they give people speed, right?
Hmm.
But you got all the side effects. So what we do is we find your beta at that fast rhythm, and we tune the music, the rhythms to your brain, and it gets your brain to function again at that fast rate.
Okay.
And it's really effective. We've got so many people that it's really helped dramatically, especially after um, uh, traumatic brain injuries. Right?
Okay. Okay. And
And
does it
then
work for, sorry to cut you off.
go ahead.
Does it work for ADD and ADHD? Because I hear more about ADHD than I hear about ADD.
We haven't really tested,
Okay.
but yeah, I know it works for that one type, which is the main type of the eight. That's the one where you need to go faster. The other ones we still need to do research. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then you mentioned autism. Autism is very much like dementia. It's all about getting them back to a stable, consistent vibration in
Mhm.
their brain. So we tune the music to them, although it's quite different for people that are low on the spectrum or high on the spectrum. People that low on the spectrum generally love sound and music, and they because I mean, we don't have to talk, we don't have to deal with emotions, in other words, right? And it's really they generally love it. But people really high on the spectrum often are hypersensitive, and you can't even do sound. You can't even approach them, much less do sound. So you have to do a whole different technique with them. But if you can do the thing where you find their rhythm and note and tune the music to them, Jeffrey Thompson's research shows that that's the most effective of all.
Okay. That is awesome. Thank you for your amazing and magical research. I think that would be incredible to try out myself because I have autism. I'm very low on the spectrum. Um, but yeah, that sounds like an absolutely wonderful thing to try out. I notice even with myself is when I'm feeling anxiety, the first thing I turn to is a specific sound. That's like Schumann resonance, and that just takes everything away, calms me down
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah, Schumann's excellent because it's the archetypal frequency that every human is tuned to. So that's a really good one. But there's really two main ones, the Schumann resonance and yours.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's very cool. But also to express it when you're feeling anxiety, to do that shift where you make the sound of it and shift it to the stable note. Or if you're really anxious, making the sound of it, don't do that because it just makes it worse. Just go straight to the vowel, any vowel, right? And running love at the same time is good too.
Okay, I love that. Okay, thank you. It's gonna help out. If there's any other autistics watching, it's definitely gonna help them out. Um, but yeah, thank you so much. That's just absolutely wonderful. Um, I want to ask you next, as the founder of the Medical Sound Association, how do you envision sound therapy reshaping our healthcare approach to address the soul and spirit and not just the body?
Oh boy, well, that's a big question. I mean, first it's figuring out all the mechanisms based on music as to how the body works physically, and that's not really dealing with the soul. Here's where we're headed, and it's hard to visualize, but that visualization's starting to manifest, I think, because it's actually really hard. What should happen is you go into a hospital and you say, okay, I got this physical issue going, and they say, oh, well, let's go into the emotional wing and use sound to express that emotion and transform it so that you can let it go. Because most people, especially medical intuitives, say that 90% of all disease comes from emotions.
Mhm.
Right? So, you could get rid of it physically, but, it can come back. And then let's go into the mental wing and use brainwave entrainment to get your thoughts and your brain focused and stable instead of bouncing around all the time. And then let's go into the spiritual wing. Oh, you're not spiritual? Let's go into the garden and look how flow systems work in nature naturally. And then we'll actually use sound to either to explode those cancer cells or use sound to harmonize the flow through your whole body physically. That's the way the new medical system should be. And it's not that way. But I see it happening in other countries where really you're looking at the whole system, because hardly anybody in the medical system talks about the relationship between physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. I mean, the only people even beginning to talk about it are heart math, right?
Hmm.
And they're showing how emotions affect you physiologically.
Hmm.
Yeah, and but it's still. What does a connection to your soul do to your whole physical body,
Hmm.
right? I mean, what? In fact, how do we create the bridge that Alice Bailey talks about, the antakarana, to the frequency of your soul, which is connected to all, right? And then that's really where we should be teaching is how to, because here's the deal. 70% of everybody on the planet is basically their emotional body is running the whole deal. And that's a freaking roller coaster. It's a freaking roller coaster, right? 10% are the mental body is running the show, and that's way more peaceful because it's not going up and down. But some people still don't have complete control of the mental functions. And then the other last percentage is people that were the soul, which is never wobbles. I believe. I don't think you need soul healing. I think the soul is perfect. It never wobbles. When you tune into your soul, which is running, and it runs everything,
Hmm.
then it's not only complete peace, but also your soul purpose and all that higher energy comes in. Right? And that's a frequency. And so I believe that frequency is the frequency where you're at peace in your body and brain.
Hmm.
So I think that's really important. Um, it's really the last thing of higher consciousness is to
Hmm.
really find that energy of your soul, and you can even just tap into it energetically. You don't even have to know its frequency, and just know that there's this higher part of you, which is your higher self. It's like part of the higher self that knows everything. It knows why you're here. It knows all the challenges that you planned out for this lifetime. So you could grow as much as possible. It knows. I mean, it's all figured out. It's all taken care of. That's the ultimate. When you realize, and I didn't, I finally got this down in the last few years of my whole life.
Hmm.
When you realize it's really all taken care of, your health, your relationships, your wealth, it's all taken care of. And only when you stress about it is are you throwing yourself off. So you got to get back to again peace.
That makes sense.
It's as
Okay.
simple as a vowel.
Mhm. So I have one more big question for you. And that question is, how does sound influence the heart's electromagnetic field? And could connecting with this field help us open up the channels of intuition to communicate with loved ones on the other side?
Yeah. Well, the heart's electromagnetic field is actually from the brain, right? Because the nervous system is the electromagnetic field,
Mhm.
and that's actually all the nerves and the brain is the nervous system. So when we're talking about brainwave entrainment, any rhythm you listen to will synchronize your nervous system within normally 15 seconds. We are designed to synchronize to all rhythms around us. We're not meant to live in the city. Right?
Mhm.
So to actually do exactly what I was talking about, where we find rhythms synchronized to you, because that's your heart rhythm. It's coming from your nervous system. It's
Mhm.
really the nervous system that runs the actual heartbeat. That's the basis of it. So that's really cool. Here's one thing you can do that's really basic. Just feel your pulse, and then do a song to your pulse. I'll do it. I'll give you an example. Here we
Hmm.
go. Here we go. I feel my pulse. Bam dum bam da da ba da 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 dum bam da 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 bum bum ba da 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 dum bam dum dum da da. Right. So now you are listening to your own rhythm
Hmm.
and really being present with it. And that's really important. It's really cool when you can then not only hear your heartbeat rhythm at any time, because you actually, if you just stop and listen, you can actually hear it.
Hmm.
But here's the other part, to notice the heartbeat rhythm in everybody else. And
Oh.
it's not like we're not getting it. The electromagnetic field of the heart goes for 100 feet. It's measurable for 100 feet, especially when you're running love. HeartMath has measured it with devices. So we are getting that rhythm of everybody else as heart when we're in the room with them. Not on Zoom. You don't get it on Zoom. You do get it in the quantum field, but you don't get the electromagnetic field on Zoom. That's why it's nice to be in a live concert with people. All right.
Hmm.
So just know, and then you can go to that person and go, "Oh, there's your rhythm," right? And now you are being more present with the world of frequency and vibration. I got just a couple of months ago, my guide said, teach everybody to listen to all rhythms in the universe.
Hmm.
And that means not only everybody's walking rhythm, everybody's talking rhythm, everybody's breathing rhythm, blinking rhythm, but also the the sun going up and down, the moon rhythm, the entire rhythm of a year. I mean, start noticing even the precession of the equinoxes, 26,000 years it takes, right? Just really start noticing rhythm. What my favorite, because I live out in the national park, is the rhythm of birds flying by. The pelicans are like whoa, 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 and then the other birds are the seagulls are more like whoa, 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 and I sing to them whoa,
Ooh.
whoa, and the seagulls go by and I go whoa, 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 and they like there's Dave again, right? But just notice those rhythms of everything around you, because that is who we are. We are all of those rhythms. We are a part of this whole universe and ecosystem.
I love that. Awesome. Okay. So my last two questions. First one is, if people would like to work with you, how can they find you?
The main site, we've got 14 websites, but you can find them all at soundhealingcenter.com.
Okay.
Right. And
Awesome.
then we've got, you can email me, David at soundhealingcenter.com. Uh, yeah, we've got a ton of different treatments we do. We've got two different certificate programs in sound healing. We have a certificate program in audio recording as well. And again, we are a real college. We're a state approved college. We've got over 20 instructors total. So soundhealingcenter.com.
Awesome. Okay. Last question. Do you have a free gift for the audience today?
Yeah, it's unconditional love. You know, in the recording classes, what I learned is when you hold an intention with 100% focus while doing sound or music, it gets embedded in the music and carried through to the listener. So when I recorded that song, I was really careful to hold the energy of unconditional love. And so what I did is I meditated on unconditional universal love and noticed the tempo of my breath.
Mhm.
And then I set that tempo to Pro Tools, the recording program, and then actually did chords on the in breath and out breath for the whole song, so I could stay in that energy of unconditional love the whole time with my natural breath for it. So it's embedded intensely with the energy of unconditional love.
Awesome. Oh, that's absolutely wonderful. And thank you so much for having that free gift for us. I think all of us should partake on it because I think, again, healing, sound healing is just one of those magical wonders that I'll say for myself, I don't experience often. So to have it is just such a treat. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being here and sharing your magic and your free gift with not only me, but the wonderful audience. So just again, thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you. It was a pleasure.